Alright, hello everyone. This is Adrian with the Agenda Management System team.
This is Oscar Padilla.
This is Carlos Vera.
This is Julian Popilov.
And I'm Christian Cepeda.
Okay, and we're going to be going over our feasibility study, or the discussion we had considering the scope of the project. And we're going to kick it off with Carlos with the goals of our version.
Right, so I'll be talking about the goals. The first thing is to generalize your process. Right now they're using very basic workflow, and we want to flesh that out a little more. Perhaps have something, or definitely have something highly configurable. We want some kind of version control with diff capabilities. And finally, we want this functionality presented on a front-end web portal.
Okay, next up we're going to talk about the problems that we have to address for this project.
All right, so currently the process of creating an item is not uniform. So we want to unify that process so it's easier and more streamlined. A second problem is that we don't know the history of a document or where and who it goes to. So we want to audit the file history. The third problem is that that the workflow needs to be simplified. There needs to be notifications, and there's no control to the version as it changes. A fourth problem is that it's not user-friendly, and it needs the bells and whistles that makes application worth using. Thank you.
All right, cool. Some of the approaches that we thought to solve this problem were the following. So right now they're currently taking care of their workflow through a legacy portal system that once it gets submitted, the rest of the item or agenda item gets tracked through email chains, and it quickly gets cumbersome to manage the history of who touched that and things like that. So we were thinking about using ASP.NET Core to display this information or take care of the workflow, because that's one of the technologies that they currently use for displaying their agenda systems online. Another thing we considered was using React.js to visualize the web portal, as well as using Django to host some sort of API for them. The databases that we were considering were MongoDB, DynamoDB, but we're not sure how the model is going to look like yet. But we're going to be tackling those issues in our current sprint, sprint 2. We're also looking at possible hosting solutions like AWS and the services that AWS provides to enable us to use databases like Postgres and MySQL. For the actual interface that a user would interact with for the application, we were thinking about a web portal. Email, we considered it, but it would be basically like trying to find like a schema that they would follow through email wouldn't be very feasible, because then again it would just get very cumbersome. We could also try to implement our own type of SharePoint or Google Docs, but considering the scope of our project and the time that we have allotted, we don't think it's gonna be able to work out. We don't think we'll be able to work something out that's fully functional. We also were keeping in mind how we can notify users for the project, whether it's through email or text or using some sort of simple notification system. Another thing to note is that this project, as in the current development, would be standalone and not integrated to their system because of all the authentication and I guess access that we would need to require.
So next up, in order to really get a sense of the project scope, we had to compare and contrast their current technology and the one we plan to implement. And so the way they're handling communication right now is through email. And this is one of the main goals we wanted to tackle. And so the way they're communicating right now is messy, since having a chain of emails can become very time consuming and files might have a lot of different version control, and so managing these types of files can become very tedious. Another important thing was file size, and so having a main web portal where there's no limit to a file type is one of the main considerations we're having when tackling the project. Also, a very important point was to have it a web portal that's very easy to manage. So everyone can have different permissions for different types of files. And that's another important point where email would become very messy. So now I'll hand it off to Christian for the reasons on why we're approaching this.
So yeah, I think the reasons that we decided as a group for this this semester and this project scope that we have was to create a web portal, a modern web application where individuals would sign in and they'd be authenticated into the web portal. The process, the initial idea of what we have would be that they start a document, a Word document, and they would either upload the document or just drag and drop the document into our web portal. We would convert this document into another type of file where it could be trackable by implementing Git on it so that we could do version control on it. Maybe also adding inside the web portal a forum, just so we could get some more information on maybe who was the person that was editing it, the time of date, so we could have this as like metadata into the file that they're uploading. As far as like notifications, we're thinking of implementing maybe some format of either you get like a text message or sent an email that you received or that you received of one of these memorandums or documents. We really want to make it user friendly, just because if it's not user friendly, it wouldn't be intuitive to use. And yeah, that's basically it. We decided to use React as our front end UI. So yeah.
Yeah, cool. And that's the general outline of our feasibility study.